starting our 14th year. This is Golf Smarter number 670. And it's being brought to you by TGW, the sweetest spot in golf. Right now, all Golf Smarter listeners receive 20% off on apparel. And if you go to tgw.com/golfsmarter, you'll land on a page that gets you directly to all the sale items being offered. I've talked about getting your winter wardrobe in place by taking advantage of the great deals TGW is offering our golf martyrs. But if you like to play in the mornings, it doesn't matter what time of year you play, you still need to start the round with some long sleeves till your body starts to warm up. And that's why this week I want to point out the Columbia Men's Omni Heat Regulation Quarter Zip Pullover. Think of it as golf outerwear with every protection for the course. The Columbia Omni Heat Regulation Quarter Zip Pullover combines a number of technologies to create high-performance piece of golf outerwear. Omni Heat thermal reflective technology helps to regulate your body temperature by retaining and reflecting the warmth given off by your body. Omni Wick Performance Fabric keeps you dry and comfortable, while Omni Shade UPF 30 plus UV protection shields your skin from harmful rays. The Columbia Omni Heat Regulation Quarter Zip Pullover regularly sells for $85, which is what you'd find in any pro shop, right? But now at tgw.com, they're only $39.98. And then you get to take another 20% off of that when you apply the coupon code GolfSmarter. One word, GolfSmarter at checkout, which brings this high-quality pullover to about, $32 for an $85 pullover? Again, an incredible offer that just got better. The exclusive Golf Smarter 20% off sale ends February 5th, 2019 at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. Of course, some exclusions apply, nor can this discount be combined with other discount offers. Due to manufacturer policies, some other items may also be excluded, and this includes all Titleist, FootJoy, Under Armour items, and select Nike items. But not Columbia. To see all the apparel that qualify for your 20% off sale, go to tgw.com/golfsmarter. Again, that's tgw.com/golfsmarter, or click on the link in today's show notes or their ad at golfsmarter.com. Stupid and outrageous stories from unlucky golfers treated by a surgeon with Dr. Michael Young.
This is Golf
Dumber.
Sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter Podcast, Michael.
Well, thank you, Fred.
It's good to talk to you. And it's interesting because usually, this show is called Golf Smarter, but I think for this holiday season, we're going to call this show Golf Dumber, because you have come across some people, and you talk about it in your book called The Illness of Medicine, Experiences of Clinical Practice, which is not a golf book. It's about,
correct,
right?
It is not.
But you do have a painful golf story in here, and you probably have a couple of other painful golf stories that it's a very sadistic thing for me to be sharing with people, but let's give it a shot and see what happens.
Well, I can tell you when I had that episode that I wrote about in The Illness of Medicine occur, and I went to the club where I play, there were more people interested in hearing that than if I had shot an albatross.
Yeah.
Nobody was interested in anything else. There was silence in the room.
Wow.
As this topic came about and as more and more people were coming closer to hear the story.
Yeah.
And I could have had a hole-in-one and a double eagle on the same day, and everyone said, "That's good news. Let's hear this story."
So obviously you are a golfer. Let's establish this. We're not just talking medicine here with some guy in a lab coat. You're wearing a pullover. You're a golfer.
Yes, I am a golfer. I'm an addicted golfer.
And have you been playing all your life, or are you?
No, I started playing about 25 years ago. I had rejected the game up until the early 30s. I thought, this game takes time, it takes money, it takes effort, and I don't have any of those at this point in my life.
Sure.
And it wasn't until I was actually in practice for a few years, and my time commitments became a little less stringent, and I played in an outing I was invited to that I fought tooth and nail not to play in, and after one round I was hooked.
Yep.
I was absolutely hooked.
Isn't that amazing? It's the exact thing that happened to me. Just one taste as an adult, and whew, I'm there.
Well, it was an August event, and I remember thinking at that time, gee, we only have here in Chicago, we only have another six weeks or so of time to play, and I went out as much as I could. I could not get enough of the game, and here we are 25 years later, and I'm still of that same feeling. You never reach a level of satiation, I guess, if that's such a word, of this game. The better you play, the more you want to play.
Sure. So have you been witness to some painful activities when you're out on the golf? Forget about being in the exam room, but when you're out on the golf course, have you witnessed anything that you were like, is there a doctor in the house? And you're like, yeah, sure, I'll be the doctor.
Well, yes. The one incident that really comes to mind was I was playing in a foursome, and one of the individuals I play with, who is also a golf addict, who also tends to be on a tad of a temperamental side.
Meaning
it got
he has
better
quite a temper.
when he missed his shot. And his effort was a half-hearted effort to either throw the club or strike a 9-iron into the ground as hard as he could. But he missed the ground, and instead he caught his leg. I mean, this was a full-throttled heave with the club, a roundabout to drop the club in almost, making an Excalibur sort of piercing into the ground.
Okay.
And he managed to hit his leg, which he in turn fell on the ground. And it was such a sudden thud, I thought he had broken his leg. But instead what occurred was a massive amount of bleeding under the skin, a big hematoma, as we call it. It was becoming a pomegranate. His calf had doubled in size in a matter of 60 seconds.
Wow.
And he was writhing in pain. And I, being the good doc, always had surgical tape in my bag, simply because for use of blisters. And instead, it's 2-inch wide tape, and I just wrapped his leg as tightly as I could. His golf day was over. He got carted back. But it was again, at the place where I play, this was a topic of discussion for at least a week.
I don't know. To me, the most important question was, did the club come out okay? Did the club survive?
Club was fine. The club was fine. The game goes on. He hobbled around, though, for about 2 weeks.
Good.
He eventually did go to an ER, get some films taken to make sure there was no break. But, it's a violent game. And
yeah, it's a high-contact sport.
It's a high-contact sport. And sometimes I wonder, should we be wearing hard hats when we play this game? I have seen a number of balls, near misses. By the time 4 is shouted, it's usually about 4 seconds too late, because the hitter of the ball is watching the trajectory, and he really isn't quite sure if it's going to approach that group in front of him or not, or to the side. And I personally have had some very close near misses where balls have clanged off of trees and carts and all sorts of things at head and neck level. So it is. Yes, I'm
sure you've heard the story of the group that was playing, and a single person came up to them and handed them a card that said, "Sorry, but I am hard of hearing, deaf mute, but I love to play golf. Do you mind if I play through?" on the card. So he obviously has done this before. And one of the guys in the group is like, "No, you just wait your turn. You get back there," right? So they're playing along, and then all of a sudden, the guy who was mean and said, "No, you can't join us, or you can't play through," he gets hit right on the back, on the lower back by a ball. And he turns, he's furious. And he turns and he looks, and there's that guy holding up a hand with 4 fingers.
Right. Right.
Hey, I called 4. You just couldn't hear me.
Right.
Okay, so... All right. So you have the main story that we have to talk about here, and the one that you have in the book. Please, start to finish, give me the whole thing here.
This was an unusual experience. The title of the book, The Illness of Medicine, is really a discussion of my experiences practicing medicine over 30 years and a review of the healthcare debacle that we're in. And to bring those issues to light, I had chosen to discuss several eventful experiences in my practice, simply as anecdotal introductions to discuss different chapters and different problems. Well, one of the chapters was about Friday night call, and how Friday night call as a surgeon was a challenge because when we're on emergency room call, we had to take whatever came in. And one of the problems with that is that the patients who came in through the ER when we are on call, typically these were patients that were dragged into the ER, picked up on the street. They didn't have a primary care physician. These were not your average referrals. So it was always catch as catch can. And it's an inner city hospital, so there could be any number of gunshot wounds or stab wounds. You just didn't know it would come in. Sure. It was never a pleasant night to be on call on a weekend in the city on a hot summer. So I did get a call around about 11 o'clock one Friday evening from the ER that a patient was there with a testicular injury.
Wait,
yes.
This is a golf story?
This is the golf story, yes.
I'm not thrilled about this already. Go ahead.
Right. So immediately my mind is racing. What could be going on? Now, I had no idea of the origin of the injury. I just knew it was a testicular injury at this point. Fine. I come to the hospital because they had performed an ultrasound exam and had noted that the testicle wasn't just injured, but it was so injured that we refer to it as a fracture of the testicle.
I've never heard of that.
Well, there's no bone in there to break.
Right.
But the outer covering is very similar to, say, the shell of an egg.
Okay.
And if you can imagine the pain of getting kicked in the scrotum, in the groin, and right, you get kicked in the giblies, you know how much that hurts.
Hey, come on, Doc. This is supposed to be a clean podcast.
Yes. So let's take this up a notch, where you just don't get kicked in the giblies, but you get kicked so hard that
in the titulus. Let's just say we got kicked in the titulus.
We got kicked in the titulus. We got kicked in a Pro V1, and we got kicked so hard that the Surlyn cover cracks like an egg. It cracks open.
Whoa.
Yeah, that is what we call pain. This is not like getting kicked in the groin and you're laying on the ground for 30 seconds or a minute trying to catch your breath. You can imagine how much this hurt.
Oh.
So this is a fracture of the testicle, which mandates immediate surgery to try to A, repair it, and B, stop the bleeding, C, keep what viable or living parts there are left remain living. So I had to take this gentleman to surgery. He was in his early 40s. And in the preoperative holding area, I was waiting, and I said to him, so let's go over some of the history here. What were you doing when you got hit? To which he responded that he was hitting golf balls.
At the range?
Well, that's what I thought. I said to him, of course. No, I was at a range, which, again, struck me as odd, not to use a pun, but it struck me as odd that here's this man hitting golf balls at a range outward into the field, and he is the one who experiences an injury. So I said to him, pray tell, I am a golf addict. Please enlighten me. How did this happen? To which the response was that the man next to him had a rather vicious slice. It sounds more like a slice shank problem in that he was to his right, and it was a curved range, so a semicircular range.
Oh, okay.
You can imagine our victim in the middle of the half circle, and this other patient, the other gentleman who hits the slice to his right, hit a vicious slice shank that went so far right and was spinning so hard it ricocheted off of a light pole, which then struck our patient smack jab in the Titleist.
Oh, no.
And he, of course, went down like a deck of cards. So I asked him when this occurred. And he said, well, this happened, 3-ish in the afternoon.
Wait, you said this was later at night, like 11:30 a call.
This is now around midnight, to which I raised my eyebrows and I said, that was 8 hours ago. I said, what happened in this interim?
Oh, no.
To which he said to me with an absolute straight face, he said, well, Doc, I had to finish my bucket.
We're sick.
And I didn't think I heard him correctly when he first said that. I was astounded. I was flabbergasted. You're telling me that you had an injury of that nature, that any one of us would be just writhing on the ground, but you managed to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, put a club back in your hand, and keep practicing. I told him, you're my hero. I said, this is impressive. And then I said to him, okay, fine. You finished hitting your balls. You went home. What did you do then? He said, well, I lied down for a while because it was getting so swollen. And I then decided to go on the computer. Of course, this is the age of self-diagnosis. And he Googled, testicular injuries, and it informed him that something significant may have happened. You've got a tomato down there. That Titleist is no longer a white, shiny. It is now a beaten up tomato. And you know what, man? You got to get in. So he came to the ER, and we took him to surgery and fixed him, and he did fine. But I think this demonstrates the number of things. A, the dedication. B, the insanity of golfers.
Yeah.
To play through that much, we in Chicago like to watch, Michael Jordan play through a flu and a cold, et cetera, et cetera. This is impressive. This brings it to a whole new level.
Wow. Well, that's why we call it golf dumber. I mean, golf's stupid.
Well, yes. And again, as I told that story in the clubhouse, the 2 days after it had occurred.
Oh, yeah.
More players were interested in hearing that than anything else that had gone on. It didn't matter if there were multiple hole-in-ones that day. They were crowded around to hear this story.
And how often since have people, when you walk in the clubhouse, people call you over, hey, Doc, come over here and tell us about the guy who got hit in the nuts.
It happens all the time.
Unbelievable.
Literally. Probably 5-10 times a season, and that was probably about 3-4 seasons ago.
Well, there's your legacy, Doc. I hate to tell you about it, but that could be your legacy.
Yes, but it can be read about in The Illness of Medicine in more detail.
Oh, good. And, please, get one more plug in. That's fine.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, again, the book is called The Illness of Medicine, Experiences of a Clinical Practice by Dr. Michael Young. Michael, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Don't ever do it again.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Fred. I appreciate it. Be well.
Well, here we go. A new year of Golf Smarter. In 2018, we met some pretty great teachers, heard about fascinating tech gear and equipment, grew our community of golfers around the world, and were told some stories that you won't always find in traditional golf media. Unfortunately, we also lost a great friend in Tony Manzoni. Let me tease you for just a moment about Tony. In February, I'll be taking a dream non-golf vacation to Africa. And I'm planning to provide you with a couple of replays of some older episodes featuring Tony so that I can publish them well in advance and make sure that you get a new episode each week while I'm gone. If you have any requests for some specific episodes featuring Tony, please let me know. And also, by that time, I'm hoping to have some news about Tony's book, The Lost Fundamental. I keep getting emails asking about where you can get it. And right now, you can't. So I'm hoping that we can change that. I did receive an email this past week asking for the state of my game at the end of 2018. Well, first of all, I love my backyard putting green, and it's definitely made a difference. I've become pretty consistent inside of 6 feet and have knocked a couple putts off the scorecard. That's always a good thing. But it's not just getting to practice more. I got to tell you, my Seymour putter is a huge success for me. The rifle scope technology, once I get lined up for a putt, my confidence is locked in that I'm on the right line, and then it's just about distance. That's been an adjustment, but it's getting better. You know, when you put a new putter in your hands, the feel is very different, the grip's different, but I am getting better with my distance control. That's why I keep asking about it. Also, my backyard is longer than it is deep, so I spend a lot of time working on my short game inside of 20 yards. That, to me, is the single greatest thing that you can possibly do to lower your scores, is making 3 shots into 2, right? If you're off the green you're chipping up, you got to get it close, and then 1 putt. That's the key for the scoring. That's one thing that I've learned, and it's so clear to me. But now, as for scoring, here, let me pull up where's my phone? Here's my NCGA app. It's the Northern California Golf Association, and let's see, I'll report as of December 31st, my index is exactly 10.0. I have an average score over the last 20 rounds of 82.3. 4 rounds in the 70s. The lowest this year was 77. And 3 other 70s were all 79. And I only had, this is over the last 20 rounds. I only had 1 round in the 90s. I shot a 91. On January 1st of 2018, my index was at my lowest of the year, 9.5. But then the next month it went up to 10.2. And then in April, it got all the way up to 12.2. Now, I know there's a lot of people, a lot of golfers that go 12.2. That would be heaven for me. Well, that's bad for me right now, which is, I just don't get that. That's bad. But my index started dropping again and has been in the 10s since mid-September. Let's see, getting this low is not something that I ever anticipated. I never thought I was going to be single digit. I never tried to make myself a single digit player. I just wanted to go out and have a good time. And if the scores got lower, great. I still think of myself as a 12 because when I started doing the podcast, my first index was just under 19. So I truly believe that I've done well because of all the great advice from so many generous and wonderful teachers who've been on the show. It's been amazing. Now, what's in store for the new year? Hopefully, continue to get to play weekly, if not twice each week when I can. Otherwise, for the podcast, I don't know. We'll take it as we can. So just keep your subscription fresh, and I'll continue to deliver the insights and advice from those unsung heroes of golf instruction. I'll introduce you to new products where I can, and maybe even give more stuff away. That was really fun, wasn't it? Well, for me it was. I hopefully we'll get to do that again because I think you enjoyed it too. Now, speaking of travel, this year my annual early spring buddy trip is going to be in San Antonio, Texas. Now, if you weren't fully paying attention, you just heard me talk about your town. Yes, I said San Antonio, Texas. I was there a number of years ago working at the NBA All-Star Game Fan Festival, but didn't get to tour much or play golf. So if you live there or know the area well, please write to me with some ideas and suggestions of golf courses to play in San Antonio, because obviously I'm the guy in our group who's in charge of securing golf. Also, if you have a favorite instructor in San Antonio, let me know, and I'll set up an interview for an upcoming episode. Any help from you would be great. We're going to be playing 3 rounds during the last week of March, and even checking out the Topgolf site there too. Also, if enough of you let me know, if there's a number of people from San Antonio who respond to this call, maybe I can sneak away from my friends. Actually, I probably like getting away from my friends after that much time. And we'll play 1 round together. Let's see if we can put a foursome together or a couple of foursomes together and play that week. That would be a lot of fun. I'd also like to, I love meeting you guys. I love meeting the people who are Golf Smarter listeners and find out why the heck you listen. So if it's an opportunity to play it in San Antonio with you, I'm in. Now, again, it's the last week of March, so please send your suggestions by clicking on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com or just write to golfsmarterpodcast@gmail.com and I'll get that. Don't forget, please go to tgw.com/golfsmarter for 20% off apparel with the coupon code GolfSmarter at checkout. The exclusive Golf Smarter 20% off sale ends February 5th, 2019 at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. Thank you so much for your continued support. I look forward to finding new and interesting stories and guests for you all year long. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GolfSmarter. Or as always, please click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com.